Now, back to Miller on Sports, the show that puts pro in sports. Everything else is just talk. Brought to you by the law offices of Ron Scholes.
We welcome in studio Kurtis Loftus, Jacksonville Beach's own and fellow surfer, to the program. And Kurtis is having a big event October 28th. It's a fundraiser for the 26.2 with Donna, the National Marathon to finish breast cancer. Kurtis, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you, Richard. It's a pleasure to be here, crossing the ditch and seeing what it's like over this side.
It's so beautiful over here, is it not?
It's very nice, very nice.
Excellent, Kurtis. And we were talking during the break. I really enjoy it, especially being a fellow surfer. But I read your story about 10 days ago and how you wanted to get into this. And immediately I asked myself why when I first read it, and I saw the link and I was fascinated. I'm sure others will either do the same or have done the same. So why? Why the longest surf session?
Well, it's connected to 26.2 with Donna, and I've been involved with the group either in a fundraising capacity or as actually the poster artist for the last 5 years. And in fundraising, you know, every year I'm thinking of ways to engage my friends or family. I've done artwork in the past and raised some decent money on behalf of the foundation. And this year I was just kind of stuck and sitting in the barbershop about 3 weeks ago getting my hair cut and having a story on behind me on the news. There was a world record attempt getting set somewhere, and I just kind of paid attention. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. World records. I wonder if anyone's ever done like a surfing world record, maybe longest surf session. So it just came to me. Got home, Googled it, and sure enough, 2010, Bill Lady in Huntington Beach, California, for Swell.com as basically it was a promotional gimmick. They just, you know, went about setting a record. It was 26 hours, 1 minute. I was like, man, that's doable. And by the way, 26.1, well, if I did 26.2, which is 26 hours, 12 minutes,
right?
Man, there's my marathon and there's my fundraiser. So it kind of happened quick. Got it all done over the weekend, essentially.
Well, it was interesting. Last night I was on your blog, reading it on marathonsurfer.com, and I was fascinated because you did a video before you went out to surf, and you said that was one of the things which you mentioned. You like to go to a barber shop to kind of see and witness another part of the country and see that culture. How'd you start doing that? Was just an idea of saying, hey, I want to get my hair cut and see what Huntington Beach, California is like?
I've got. If I let my hair go, it's pretty moppy, shaggy, and this goes all the way back to like 1980, 81 when I took my first trip, and for 3 weeks we were in Costa Rica, and you know, a couple of weeks being in Costa Rica, things you need to clean up a little. I just had an idea that I would step into a barber shop and just get, you know, a shave and get my hair cut and just chat with the barber, and I just enjoyed it. It was like me stepping outside of my normal surf adventure and just meeting people. So every surf trip, and I've done dozens, when I'm out of the country, I step into a barbershop and just meet people.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So it's cool that this idea kind of happened in the barbershop.
Yeah, very cool. Kurtis Loftus. Hey, October 28th, he's trying to break the longest surf session attempt, and it all goes towards the 26.2 with Donna. And Kurtis, as a fellow surfer, I'm thinking the entire time, this is cool, I'm really digging this. But probably a normal person, they might just say, hey, why don't you run a marathon or maybe donate your time? What did Donna Deegan say when you said that you wanted to do this?
Well, I've gotten to know Donna fairly well over the last 6 years, and I think she'll first kind of smile and laugh a little bit about some of the ideas I come up with, but she really has gotten to understand my passion, and I mean, obviously she's a very passionate person when it comes to this event that she's created, and its goals are extraordinary. I mean, you're talking about eradicating a disease that you know, affects families and individuals all over the world. And I mean, after 5, actually 6 years of being involved, you know, and seeing what's happening, the work that's being done, and the benefit.
Right.
It's like the ideas that you come up with, you know, even if they're a little bit outside the box, if if someone's going to go about getting it done, she's seen it already. We both have seen it. So you almost think it seems crazy to the people on the outside, but it's a very sort of standard process for this kind of event to be successful.
Oh yeah, and you've been on with 26.2 with Donna since the inception in 2007, doing all the artwork like you said, and I'm sure you've met or talked to countless cancer survivors. What's been the one story that you've heard or remembered, the person, individual, where you thought, man, I'm just never going to forget that?
It happened with the first expo, the first fitness expo, and I literally committed myself to 2 days of signing posters, selling artwork. Had a large booth. They gave me a large booth at the expo. Had no idea what I was going to expect because I've been to run expos before, but I've never been to something like this where it was the purpose was so different. So I'm signing posters and meeting people, and by far the majority of the people I met were already affected by this disease. There were some runners out there that just wanted to do the event, but 95% of the people were influenced, affected by this. By the end of the day, it wasn't one story; it was, 100 stories. So, you probably cried, laughed, did things through the course of the day that just drained you. I've never been so tired, so I have to think it was more like a cumulative event for me. And I just realized, wow, these are extraordinary people, and I've never felt this way about my art, about my running, anything, and it just became a passion.
Awesome. He's Kurtis Loftus, joining Miller on Sports in studio. And a little background, he's the president and creative director of the Kurtis Loftus Group, joining us to learn more, to get involved, be a sponsor, marathonsurfer.com. All the proceeds go to 26.2 with Donna. If the race can raise $100,000 more than it did last year, Wayne and Dolores Weaver will donate an additional $100,000. And Kurtis, I'm thinking just from the normal person, because I feel like as surfers, we're really not all that normal. We go out there and some people think we're a little crazy, but your mission is to surf 26 plus hours. You'll start at night, 6 p.m. on October 28th. Surfers and non-surfers, they think about sharks. You're out there, your mind starts to wander a little bit. Are you afraid of any possible encounters?
I've surfed 38 years, seen sharks swim by, actually come towards me, and I've seen countless attacks via news and media. But and by the way, the other day, just 3 days ago, I get a email from a buddy, the bull shark that's at Jack's Pier, floating around. There's a picture of it on surfjackspier.com.
Oh, yeah. It was during the competition, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was about 6 foot long, and it gets sent to me, and I'm starting to laugh because that's all anyone in my family needs to see is what's Kurtis doing? Why is he out in the water? And it's been actually this year has been particularly fishy. If you surf in the morning, you see a lot of activity. And so, yeah, there's something to consider there. We've got people thinking about repellents for me and ways to keep the sharks off. But
well, that's good. As long as people are looking out for you, because I was wondering that, and I'm sure a lot of people are. So let's get to the record-setting event itself, the longest surf session. What are the rules for this? How long do you have to surf the wave, the board, etc.?
What I found out, and I'm going off of what the current record holder has, he surfed 26.1 hours. He actually caught 147 waves, and it looked like he stayed on one board the whole time. I think his original goal was to try equipment, to try wetsuit products, to make it more of a marketing deal. And Guinness actually finally said, as they went through the process, we only want the marathon. We want a certain amount of time. If you do that, we'll be able to grant you this, certificate, what have you. So right now the rules are in the water, one board. I'm going to at least get 147 waves and continuous surfing. The nighttime surfing is going to be interesting because we don't have near the light at the pier, and it's basically we're still in the sea turtle nesting period.
Oh, true. So
I'm trying to be careful with all that's going on so that I'm not distracting from something on the beach.
Now, do you have a short board, long board? What are the rules with the board?
I saw the record holder had a short board, so I'm trying to stay towards the short board because I feel like if I went to a long board, I might get some pushback from riding something in the 9 foot or let's say 8 foot range. So I'm going to go for like a 6'4".
Okay, and how often do you surf? Because you've got to be in great shape. You're 50 years old, but you need to be ready for this.
Yeah, good point. And I've only surfed in any length of time in the past, maybe 6 hours. I mean, and I don't think, it can be grueling. But most surfers, when they're in the water, they're catching as many waves as possible. I'm going to pace myself. I'm going to hope for, if you average out the wave count that he had, it was 5 waves an hour, and I think that's doable.
And Kurtis, I think I've been in the water maybe 5.5, 6 hours, and it just takes a lot out of you. But anytime I go surfing, my number one goal is to have fun. Do you think you can still have fun in 26 hours and 12 minutes of being in the water?
You know what? Think about it this way. If we have the right people, I mean, and all my friends and this crowd is there, and we can figure out logistically where to pace me, it'll be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Kurtis Loftus, he's in studio. We're talking about 26 hours and 12 minutes, a surf marathon session. October 28th. We'll talk more coming back right here on Miller on Sports. Speaking of fun, Kurtis Loftus still in studio joining us, Jacksonville Beach's own fellow surfer. And as well, we're talking about the 26.2 with Donna. You can learn more, breastcancermarathon.com. Everything he's doing with the longest surf session, October 28th, Jacksonville Beach Pier, 26 hours and 12 minutes. And I know, Kurtis, you not only surfing and everything, but you've been out there trying to get sponsors and bring in all of this for the fundraiser.
Well, that's been the other fun part about the whole process. And, people know me and how I go about things, and a lot of times I'm pretty quick on, just getting something done that I know in my heart just feels right. And so I have a relationship with the surf industry. It's still pretty strong. I know many of the shop owners, the people that created the surf shops. I've been around for long enough. So, immediately I went to Sunrise Surf Shop and to Aquis Surf Shop, and I had some information for them, and it was just like the easiest thing to talk about and say, this is what I'm doing. I stopped by Void magazine and just dropped some material on there. We chatted for like 10 minutes. Everything's been so easy from a sponsor standpoint with the surf community, and that's really what's been so cool about this. I'm a runner, but I'm a surfer, and for the first time in my life, and I'm 50 now, I'm bringing a couple passions together and watching people respond. And if you think about audiences that are kind of unique audiences to each other, a running audience isn't always paying attention to what the surfers are doing, vice versa. So it's been a really good synergy of things.
Very interesting, Kurtis. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer or a negative Nancy, but I was thinking about this. You're going for a world record. You're talking about the Guinness Book of World Records. Have you thought about failure of what could happen on October 29th if you get out of the water or something happens and you don't break the record?
I'd be lying if I didn't say there's a bit of fear in this thing. Mm-hmm. But, again, when you look at the cause and the effort, and you look at what these people face, and your own, personally, I'm a pretty healthy guy, blessed with, just a lot of things. Never take it for granted. So, this is one of those moments where if I have support around me, even if I'm kind of wearing down or not feeling good, or, I want to come in, if I have the support around me and I have some friends or some other surfers or the sponsors, and they're there with me on the beach, I'm not alone anymore. I'm not doing this alone. Mm-hmm. So, it's going to be one of those efforts, and I'll do everything possible to make sure I break the record, and then even beyond that, just, tack on a few more hours if possible, just to make sure the guy in California doesn't come back and set it again.
I like it. Yeah. Very nice.
So we're going for it.
Kurtis, you always have the support of Miller on Sports right here on Talk Radio 600 WBOB. But I just had to ask that question because I thought about it. We see so many times in sports where you have a win, but a loss is followed up. There's success, there's failure all the time. breastcancermarathon.com, October 28th, the longest surf session attempt. And Kurtis, as well, you've got so much going on in all this, but I have to think, have you been personally touched or affected by breast cancer? By anybody in your family or a close friend?
Oh, there's been cancer in my family, and again, that's what's unique about this for me, because I can't really tell you my mother, my sister. I can't do that. It really came through this relationship with 26.2 with Donna and going to this expo, and they were strangers, and they became as important to what I was trying to do as someone close. It just was so beautiful to meet these people and see how they were living their lives. So, I think that's the kind of thing that motivates. It's not necessarily has to be in the family. You know, if you're paying attention and you see it in front of you and you see how people behave,
right.
It's the behavior that I really gravitated towards. I was just touched by it.
Yeah, very interesting, Kurtis. And also, you're in good shape, but I need to know, are you training for this? You're a runner, you're a surfer, but this is something that you don't do every day. You're 26 plus hours in the water. Are you really training for this 5+ hours a day, or what's the training schedule like?
Okay, so now my office, they're all sitting listening to this. they are shaking their heads. No, he's not really training. And they all know I've actually got a pretty heavy workload coming up where I'm probably in the office working and doing illustration more than I'm doing the training.
And you've got the chips and the salsa and the donuts, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and probably a beer, you know.
Well, there you go. That's a perfect diet.
Yeah, so, but that hasn't changed in like 35 years, so why start now?
Why change what works?
It might work. I think it'll work.
Great. That was not the answer I was expecting, but I definitely love the answer. And I'm thinking, too, you're in the water, possibility of sharks, but 26 hours, you have to eat. Let's say for a normal person, that's 5 or 6 meals. How do you get food or water?
Well, that's for the normal person. Most no, I'll be fine. I think, again, my logistic stuff starts to happen really in the next week to 2 weeks. I'm going to start asking for people to take responsibility for taking care of the food for me. I mean, again, 26 hours means, and I don't want to disrupt lives, but if I can have a friend, you know, that's on witness, one of my witnesses, and taking care of watching and making sure this thing goes the right way for Guinness, you know, I figured 3-hour increments, so I'm going to, you know, stagger people through that 26 hours to motivate me, to help me get fed. You know, if I need something, you know, I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it right now.
Very interesting. I'm just very fascinated by all of this. And Bill Lady, like you said earlier, Huntington Beach, California, he set the record, 26 hours, 1 minute, 147 waves. And I'm thinking, because you talked about that previous record with Jacksonville.com, ugly, choppy conditions, are you hoping for what, clean conditions? Because you and I both know as surfers, you can't control the surf.
And that's going to be sort of the final, a week before the event. I will have to take a serious look at what the conditions are going to be like, because I don't want to fail. And if there's something like coming in this weekend, and you and I both know what's happening this weekend, it's winds are going to be pushing 20, 25 miles an hour. Seas are going to be increasing to probably double overhead at the pier. I mean, pretty heavy conditions.
Dangerous.
And I can't surf for 26 hours and manage the paddling and that kind of condition. It just won't happen. So I don't want to go out, surf those conditions, and I'll let people know I'm either going to move it forward or I'll, you know, move it back a little. Keep it in like a 10-day window, but that's kind of the catch right now. You're absolutely right.
Well, it's pretty much like a surf competition.
Yeah.
ASP World Tour, they have to do the same thing. You don't have the waves. You move it back. You don't want to be dangerous. You don't want anybody to get hurt. Kurtis Loftus joining in studio. Had a lot of fun today. Longest surf session attempt, October 28th, Jacksonville Beach Pier. To learn more, breastcancermarathon.com, marathonsurfer.com. It all benefits at 26.2 Adana, the national marathon to finish breast cancer. And Kurtis, also, I'm wondering, too, because late October in Jacksonville Beach, it could vary. You could be in a full suit, a spring suit, just board shorts. Do you have to plan for all these different conditions, or once again, maybe a week or so ahead?
No, it'll be without a doubt full suit, even if air temp is in the 80s, let's say. I'm going to paddle into the water to take care of my core, take care of just the amount of time. I'll be in a full suit, booties, gloves, and if the air temp is dropping again, I'll probably have a hoodie on.
And not only conditions, but we talk about it so often in sports, is the mental aspect. Golf, tennis, football. You have to prepare yourself mentally. Are you doing a lot of meditation? Are you reading books on how to prepare for this? Because how many people have done this? This is not something you do every day.
It's in my office is laughing again.
Is this another beer kind of thing?
Yeah, is he meditating right now? No, it'll be kind of gutting it up. We have a good group that work with me, and again, the people that I train with, I mean, honestly, these guys, there are some wonderful athletes, and I have that to sort of stand, you know, I have to hold myself up to some of their standards. So, you know, I'll be physically ready. It's just, I don't think there's any way to really meditate on 26 hours in the water. I don't know. You know, I have no idea. And if I even attempt to think too hard about it, I may say, hey, this is this is not the right time to be doing this.
And you're already being bold and going for one Guinness Book of World Records. Have you thought a little bit ahead of maybe what could be next?
Oh, this is it.
This is it?
This will be a really, again, looking at breast cancer research and funding. If this gets pulled off and we raise $10,000, that's my goal, $10,000. Then we've done the one thing in my life that combined the two passions I have, and it'll just be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Kurtis Loftus, if you break the record, will you come back?
I'd love to, yeah. And by the way, I hope to see you on the beach.
Absolutely. I'll be there October 28th, Jacksonville Beach Pier. Thanks so much. Good luck, and keep training hard.
Thank you, Richard.
Keep drinking those beers. I know I will. I'll drink for you. Kurtis Loftus on Miller on Sports. So much fun. BreastCancerMarathon.com, October 28th, going for the longest surf session attempt. More Miller on Sports right here on Talk Radio 600 WBOB. Listen live at 600WBOB.com.